difficult to really talk to each other. You know, you always end up talking, or, you know, you talk out of yours, they talk out of theirs, whatever the case may be. But, you know, you really need a common place, because that common place is where you can, you know, meet, literally. So in the meeting here, that meeting is not going to be easy, because that meeting, as we have seen, is that we've got a compromise in this situation. Grace has the whole channel, and he has part of the channel in having the 43. So let's take a look. If you look at her 4323, you can see her 4323 is part of her personality profile. That's her first line theme. In other words, she's a first line 4323. She's basically a first line mind. You know, this is somebody who needs to get to the bottom of things. And of course, they're not going to be quick to explain things. After all, when you're dealing with the lower trigram, you're not dealing with direct transpersonal skills. The first line is more interested in studying than speaking. They want to be able to get to the basis of it. You know, if you're dealing with a 4th, 5th, or 6th line 23, these people are ready to try to explain things to you. They have the transpersonal ability of being upper trigram. The lower trigram is going to be more reticent in trying to explain things, and much more comfortable when their explanation is rejected. Again, remember that the first line theme, because it's looking for the ability to be an authority, that the moment that it's not solid in its foundation, it takes on qualities of inferiority and fear of inadequacy in that sense. When we go over to his 43rd gate, here we are, he's got the 43-1. Isn't that nice? Yeah? In other words, he's really in resonance to being compromised. Isn't that nice? It's one of the funny things that you go through when you go into the detail and you start looking to see how things are really going to work. And one of the things to recognize is that if he had had, let's say, the 43-3 or the 43-5 or the 43-6, those are going to be 3 lines that won't resonate or harmonize to her first line mind, then you're going to have very uncomfortable compromise. But after all, when her 23-1 comes up with something to explain, his first line 43 resonates with it, because he's been with her right along with her 43-1. Very different. So when you're going over to that and you look at them as a relationship, and you go over there and you say, you know, you're an analyst, you know, you got all this stuff, and say, aha, compromise, blah, blah, blah. You know, you can't then go in and say, look, this is where you're going to have a lot of problems. You're not. He's going to be aware of it, no question. But he also isn't going to mind. Resonance is a beautiful thing. In other words, you can take away the place where you think they're going to have problems in their relationship. This is why this is one of the favorite